Hi, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Banners, the official podcast of the Southern Connecticut Conference. I'm Al Carbone, Commissioner of the SEC. Well, we've made it. Episode 4. Great things about 4. Famous 4s. The Fab Four, the Beatles, the Four Horsemen. I think it's Notre Dame football, I guess. There's 4 blood types. There were 4 Ghostbusters. And of course, there's 4 seasons, right? And maybe hopefully we're as good as the next Karate Kid, which is the 4th movie in that series. But my personal favorite, Rocky IV. Shout out to Ivan Drago. So, welcome back, guys. It's December, coming up to one of the best holidays of the year, Festivus, which we'll talk about in this episode. How's it going?
It's going great. It's great to be back again. A lot of talk on the street about our podcast. I'm not sure anybody's listening, but people keep asking when we're doing the next one.
Fun fact, we tripled the viewership from episode 2 to 3. Matt, you had the quote of the century in episode 3. What else we got for us for episode 4?
I just want John to find a lot of viewership, a lot of listenership. John, your definition of a lot might be a little bit different than most people's.
We tripled from 3 to 9.
But hey, look at us. Look at us, 3 guys, 3 amigos, just continuing to prove the naysayers wrong, rolling along at a steady, right?
Yeah.
You know,
no pun intended.
Yeah.
No pun intended. No, so fall's finally over. Football season ended just a couple days ago. Dealt with some weather. It's cold because it is winter, one of the 4 seasons, right? So we talked about in the last episode, we had a bunch of teams going into the great holiday of Thanksgiving, fighting for playoff berths. So we had 6 teams make the playoffs. We ended up with 2 state champions, Daniel Hand in Class SS and Shan in Class S. We had Cheshire, who was a runner-up in Class L. A little shout out to John Piracino, who's the Cheshire AD, because in the semifinals it was the coldest day in history in Connecticut, and so they had to move the games from the Sunday to Monday. And John Piracino had like this contraption on their sideline of like heat with ducts and things, electricians. It was like flux capacitor. I think they got iodine from some of the Libyans, Back to the Future, powering it up to keep the kids warm. So. Credit to him, for doing that. But again, pretty good. Like 9 state champions. So Doug, get our graphic up, right? So
that's Doug back there.
Yeah, that's Doug. Doug's back. Right there. Here he is.
A great side character of the Chasing Banners podcast.
He's the mythical figure, right? So 9 state champions in the fall, right? Which is great. So that number is 599. The next one is 600. Which would be unique. 600 will have some meaning in the winter we'll talk about. 6 more runners up, so great fall. So how do we put a bow on the fall season?
I know I'm happy to be going indoors to watch sports for sure. But the football, it was great. I mean, since the last time we've talked, Thanksgiving had some meaning this year. The Lyman Hall Sheehan game, probably the most important game they've had in that series in a long time. Unfortunately for Lyman Hall, they didn't make the playoffs, but Sheehan 3 times since 2019 they've been in the playoffs, and nobody else has more state champions than they do in the SEC in football, do they?
Hand, no, they have the most.
That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. You guys are the football experts on this podcast, and I'm interested to hear kind of your favorite parts of the postseason when I pass the ball that way. But I do want to share one anecdote. It was pretty cool. I was at a birthday party, a little kid's birthday party, and members of the Windsor coaching staff were there. And we were talking about where teams should be ranked. That's the fun part about football. I always love. You have the championships, but then for a 12-hour span, we talk about where everybody should be ending up, and without even a blink, Windsor has an argument, right? You would think Windsor, the level of respect and the authority, they said, no, it's Han. Han is either second or third best in the state. There was some conversation about Greenwich being there, but a team, a program like Windsor, who I don't know, we'd have to check the stats how often they play hand, if ever.
They played him in the championship in 2012.
I knew there was one. Yeah, okay.
Because that was the year the SEC won 3 titles. It was at Rensselaer Field,
Yes,
and it
okay,
was
yeah.
and Windsor was favored, and Shannon ended up beating them. It was like 23-6. It was kind of an upset, but hand. Yes,
hand.
yeah.
And so, and just the way they said hand belongs there, what they were able to do against Killingly, and we can debate. Everybody loves to debate what is coming out of the eastern part of the state, but I just think that hand is elevated to that point where everybody around the state sees them in such a high light, and it's pretty cool for the SEC. We are a SEC podcast, and to hear that level of respect coming from CCC and a program like Windsor was cool. So that was my anecdote.
I need
It
to
was
get the
interesting.
flag.
Very interesting to watch the first half of that game.
Yeah.
First quarter, 2 possessions, 1 possession per team. Second quarter, 1 possession per team. 30 seconds left, Killingly gets the ball back. I mean, it was a very close game. The second half, not so much. Hand came out and pretty much dominated the second half.
Yeah, so you guys were bouncing around. You really must have gassed up, unless you went electrical recently. But I'm curious, what were your highlights from the Al Carbone tour? I mean, are you running for office? Like, why were you out there so much, and what did you enjoy when you were out watching the games?
Well, I think like all in all the fall, like really, like when we talked about this the last episode with like the girls soccer, the 3 teams getting the championship, it's always great. Different teams making, some runs. Football gets a lot of attention, and we know, some really good news, going forward next year with the Alliance, where all the leagues are going to be in it. So that's going to create some, some excitement, even more excitement. But yeah, I think we look at it this, and I keep all the statistics and the records, but 32 years, we've had 37 state champions, another 16 runners up. So, teams are making it. I always say, we judge our league in terms of, success, and we can talk about top to bottom and, all the things that go with that, strength of schedule and teams playing each other and all that stuff. But ultimately, you want to be in those state championships. That's what I think the measuring stick, and we talked about this as, the teaser was, is it harder to win a SEC championship than it is to win a state championship? So when you see our teams in different levels, and, Fairfield Prep was in the semifinals in Double L, Jonathan Law made lost a tough game in the first round to Ledyard in Class Double S, and then Guilford, loses by a touchdown to Brookfield, who ends up beating St. Joe's in the semifinals and lost a heartbreaker in the championship. So you wanted your teams to be competitive. And I think what you said before, Matt, in terms of the respect around the state, the FCAC has been tremendous, with their teams. And we can't be afraid of that. And that's why I think the Alliance has been so good for our football league. And we had like a 500 record in the Alliance. We played 44 games, and we were around 500, maybe a game below. But we're not afraid to play those games, and our teams get tested, through the league and, in the non-conference stuff.
An interesting topic on the sideline, I think you brought it up, Al, on the hand game on Saturday, was not all these teams have played full football games. Hand plays full football games. They have a very tough schedule, and they play football. They play 4 quarters almost every Friday night. Right. And some of these teams that are not playing 4 quarters, that's going to make a big difference when you get to a state championship game. Yeah, and
there's a shout out to Eric Becker and his team, but also to John Ferrazzi at Shan, because they're a small school. They're a Class S school, and it was 0-0 at halftime, right? And they come up and they win 21-7. And reason why? Because they were able to, kind of keep going. And you saw that throughout the season. They had to play Fairfield Prep. They played Cheshire. There's another state finalist. Shelton, who's, a Class L good program, battled them throughout. And so you see their ability to navigate the game and play the full 4 quarters. So there's the bow.
have to shout out to Tim O'Malley that play.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing. There's a pass that gets tipped up in the air. He's a lineman.
Yep.
He's standing there. The ball's coming down, and he's got nothing but green grass and the goalpost in front of him. You see college and NFL players get ahead of themselves in that situation, but caught it, ran it in for the touchdown, and that was a very exciting moment of that game for sure.
Yeah, in the same breath, we talked about hand being the class, one of the class teams in our state. The second thing is, quickly right after, the Windsor people are saying Sheehan's coaching staff fantastic, And so we're all like I'm lucky to be a coach in the SEC, and once you win a title, like I always think of what Mike Cunningham told me when I was starting out. Mike Cunningham, the wrestling coach at Xavier, is like the best title is always the next one and the hardest one. And I do think that is the mindset of a lot of our coaches is like they don't want to stop, and there is a hunger, there's a competitiveness, and you see it at the upper echelon of our league in every sport. The ones that win are really driven by keeping that sustained success. And I think that's really defined the SEC in the last 10 years is that we have a lot of programs that have kept going.
And to use the Shan example, right? They were in the state final last year, lost to Killingly, and then, and Coach Ferrazzi with the team on the field, no doubt, right? And then they remember that from last year, and, they coined themselves the Honey Badgers and, and a rallying call throughout the season. So exciting, great way to end in the fall. Now let's talk about winter. Like, John, this is John, your favorite season, right?
Absolutely.
And I will kind of throw out, last night, as we're airing this, was the first night of hockey and basketball. So East Haven, which is a co-op of about 5 teams, and then West Haven, which is a co-op of about 5 teams. So I think the whole Shoreline played in that hockey game last year. So something that, we'll talk about in other things about the state of ice hockey, which, again, we're pretty good. Our league is, historically in Division II and our Division I teams. So
right before I came today, I saw the hockey poll got released on 4 SEC teams in the hockey poll.
Yep.
So you got Prep, Notre Dame, Cheshire, and Xavier all in the inaugural top 10 poll.
Yeah. So hockey, and then obviously with basketball, with the Notre Dame of West Haven, kind of hype train, right? With Abdou Touré and Jason Shea, Coach Jason Shea's team, going to be traveling to some far off places and representing our league, which is awesome. Be ranked in the country, and so that should be exciting. We're going to go back to Quinnipiac for our girls and boys basketball finals, so we're excited about that.
Is there a bigger storyline than Notre Dame right now? Like we're all storyline guys, and you try and pick your one going to the season, and I can't imagine a bigger one right now than Notre Dame in the league. And come at me, like actually come at him. He's the commissioner.
Come at me. Yeah.
But I'm curious. Is that the main thing that's going to drive this winter season? Is what they do, and can they go back, and can anybody wound them along the way? I'm really curious to see that. I also wonder on the hockey side, who's going to beat them on the hockey side. I know there's teams that are lining up right now, but it is quite impressive what Notre Dame has done on the winter side. They're the evil empire, but they do a lot of things right. Really, a lot of things right. To put
I love the term "evil empire."
You do,
yeah. As a Yankee fan, but I just love it because I think in our league, it may be because of look at this,
And that's when I say evil empire, that's respect, right? That's
it should be, right? Yeah, again, but again, when you're successful, and people will, criticize the FCAC because it's the the most wealthy county in the country, and their kids have resources better than rest of the state. But we talk about our league being diverse, and I think later in the show we'll talk a little bit about our Festivus celebration and things that airing of grievances, well, not grievances, but opportunities we'll look at. But not to tease that along, but I think for the winter, it's like we're coming off the most successful winter season last year, 14 state championships. Like that's never been done. And you're talking about multiple ones in indoor, boys and girls indoor track, wrestling, gymnastics.
And they're all lined up to do it again.
Right. And so I think that's what's exciting, and we're talking about basketball and ice hockey where, you're perennially have those teams positioned well to be positioned, but it's all of our sports, boys swimming as well. So it's shaping up to be pretty exciting.
I was about to raise my hand.
I'm in
class, but
the
storyline. I start with Notre Dame, but then we have a team in our conference that could be going for 5 state open wins, right? In wrestling,
right.
How is that getting supplanted? That's just crazy.
Right.
Again, to see everything Danbury did back in the day in wrestling, and Xavier's making its case right now for the top of Mount Rushmore. I don't like to go label, but
when you talk about storylines, I think Notre Dame is the storyline. I mean, I hear with 3 of the schools I work with, Notre Dame is going there this year, and people are talking about it. And you are going to see crowds in those gyms this year when they go to East Haven, when they go to Branford. People are going to come out to watch him play, and that's people want to see him play. And you're going to see big crowds on the road when he's on the road. You can't see a big crowd at Notre Dame.
When he goes on the road, fans go up and want to get on Instagram with him and get on TikTok. I'm letting my age be known a little bit. But I saw when he was at Xavier, Mercy students went to the game specifically to take photos with him after. Correct. That's wild.
Right.
Yeah. That's wild.
And they're playing West Haven at Mohegan Sun next week.
Right.
So, and that's going to be
they're flying back
game.
from Florida that day to go play that game. And credit to West Haven for giving up their home game to go there. It's a great, it's a great little 3-game tournament. You have New London, St. Bernard's. I believe there's a couple CCC teams playing.
But you talk about championships. Those guys are looking ahead to let's play here because we want to play here again in March.
Right.
And they're looking ahead. They don't want it to be a new place for their players. And they think that I think West Haven thinks they have a good chance of being there too.
And that's what's also exciting about the winter. So a lot of our, we talk about indoor track being at the Floyd Little Athletic Center. And so this week is going to be the kind of the reopening of, Eric Patch, get it done, right? You keep on texting me pictures with logos and stuff like this. He's going to get it done. I'm going to a press conference this week, to reopen it. And they're going to name the basketball courts. And Bob Lamel, right, who was former athletics director in New Haven, who's actually one of the founders of the SEC to get that going. But they're going to reopen. That's our home for indoor track. That's our home for we're probably not going to have basketball there because they have to host some state competitions. But that's exciting, and that's great for the kids in New Haven and their programs to have a first-rate facility. We're lucky as a league, SEC, that we can have our indoor track. That's one sport where it has evolved over. I know my 22 years of having those competitions there because again, that's where we win our state championships and we do very well with led by Hill House. And
John said he was going to buzz me if I talked too much about indoor track, but it is exciting to have our league against other sports, right? When you look at other sports in our league, indoor track can go toe-to-toe when it comes to postseason and what they put up, not just as champions, but also finals. Often the case, our teams are going head-to-head for a championship, and we are very lucky. Sometimes, as a track coach, we take it for granted. But everybody, the staff there, I know he's starting to phase out a little, but Bob Davis, we have to give a shout out to Bob Davis and the volunteers there. They do a fantastic job, and we're just very, very fortunate. And our teams are better because of the opportunities to play compete at Hill House.
So while we're talking about the winter, I was looking for some unique stats today. Sacred Heart is looking to play in their 7th straight SEC championship game in girls basketball this year. So, which is quite the run, the impressive run. And there should be some exciting girls basketball this year too.
Yeah. And shout out to Mike Basillo from the Shan coach. They won a state championship last year, and Mike's a good friend. And I think he's retiring. So I was wondering if he's going to have the Derek Jeter farewell tour when he goes around, the different gyms. But I don't know if I leaked it, but like that. So, but again, maybe we'll triple our viewership for that. So.
Yeah, I know I'm employed by Mercy, so I'll probably be fired tomorrow by saying it, but I have watched Sacred Heart basketball a lot the last couple of years, and we know they made some news a couple years ago for some things, but I have just a deep respect for some of their operations and how they run the show when it comes to basketball and how well-structured that team is. So, again, can anybody break that down? Hamden, also extremely well coached. A little bit unknown with their team, but I have no doubt that she'll have them ready. And Tim Coase is going to be energized to make our league.
Energized is a good word to
describe
Tim Coase.
But our league, again, another sport, girls basketball. You could go across the state. You could go up. You could go up a couple states. You're not going to find better basketball than sometimes you see in the SEC. Yeah, for the most part.
You're not going to find a better night than our doubleheader at Quinnipiac.
Yeah. No, really looking forward to it and happy that we're going to be there. So all right, so Doug, just get the trivia question graphic. So we'll kind of tie. So we had a couple trivia questions last episode. Nobody commented. We need to get some more.
Not even Ellis Gill. He wasn't reaching into
No. I did get an answer from Steve Baker, Lyman Hole, who answered the question. But so again, our trivia question, and we'll get again SEC gear, and introducing our. When we get back to the screen. But what member school has won the most SEC Winter League playoff titles? So, we had the fall playoff titles for one of the trivia questions. So that's the winter one. Comment on our when we post this, and I'll certainly send something. So Doug, thanks for posting up that. So the final segment. First of all, it's the holiday season. So I'm very proud that we've gotten the Chasing Banners gear, right, with the logo. And a quick story. So my son is in college, and he says his buddies wanted to be the Chasing Banners intramural basketball team at Wake Forest. And I'm just like,
don't do that to yourself, guys.
Again, expand it to North Carolina in Wake Forest. So shout out to Nolan and his buddies for representing the Chasing Banners brand. So I got here you go, Matt.
Al, I gotta tell you, Al.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
I appreciate this shirt. You made me taller.
I did make you.
Yeah,
I did make
man.
you taller. I think I get the wrong.
I've never
logo.
looked so big in my life.
I complained to the graphic designer at Steady Photography that Matt was a little bit too tall there.
There was a complaint lodged.
So this is my favorite holiday. It's called
23rd.
Festivus. Yeah, the 23rd of December. Festivus, right? I think it's the most appropriate holiday. I probably get people for me, because again, it's it seems like everyone could always complain and weigh in on high school sports, and I think it's human nature. But I want to say is like the airing of grievances, and those who are Seinfeld fans understand. Yes, happy Festivus, right? So. What kind of complaints does the commissioner get? Well, how tough my schedule is, holding on to traditions that don't really make sense, right? Worrying about kids turning into pumpkins if they go too long on a bus before a game, those far distances in this huge state called Connecticut, or just complaining about, general stuff, about, the league and all that stuff. So it would be very satisfying for me to because I remember everything and I read everything and kind of here's my list, but I think in today's time I don't think we would triple our follower. Actually, maybe we
you
would.
might.
We might.
They've been tuning in for 4 episodes. They want
yeah,
the real
you're right.
deal.
Yeah, so waiting for their name.
Yeah.
So I think we've mentioned that, but I think a couple things. I'm just gonna lead it off and we'll tie it up a little bit. But I think it's more of about. Instead of grievances, it's more about opportunities. And I think we hear a lot of things in high school sports about that, appreciating that high school kids have the opportunity to play for their school teams, right? That should be the most important thing that kids are doing because we know they have choices. They have choices to play outside and, they specialize in sports. But I think from the SEC's perspective, we are a very diverse league, right? We have some big, we have some small, we have urban, suburban, public, private, so I think that helps us, right? And so that leads to the complaints and the and the things. But I think we also understand and we have to appreciate that. We're all in this together, and we talk about that. I think also too is that we do a good job of promoting our league, and so we talk about this, and we're joking back and forth, but. I think all of us appreciate the ability to promote our league, whether we're at state championships, league championships, giving out gear, having some fun, promoting the really good things that our schools and our student athletes do, especially because the media landscape has changed, right? And so we have to create our own content, and I think we've done a pretty good job. So I always just say membership has its benefits, and I think, the message is it's not about complaints, it's about opportunities, and just keep doing the best things and not backing down from the challenges that we do against other leagues, whether it's the FCAC or the ECC in all our sports. And coaches will why are we doing this? Well, I don't want to. No, because we want to give you competitive games. We want that experience to be a good one. And so, I think that just embracing change and all those things that come with it. So, and we just know that the landscape of youth sports and high school sports has changed over, my 22 years as commissioner, the 32 years of the league, even from 5 years ago. So, as we fly through, year 32, it's already 4th episode. It's the winter. I think the Festivus message, from the commissioner, but I will still post on December 23rd, wishing everyone a happy Festivus. Is that is about appreciation and opportunity. So, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and this has been a lot of fun. And I think, this is what it's all about. And so I just kind of. Turn it over to you as we, try to enhance our viewership and, kind of final thoughts.
Our next episode will be our 2nd year.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
After 5. Thanks, John. The participation trophy from John Steady.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was another. That's been another complaint that we give out too many, medals and participation trophies.
It's just so like when we were thinking of ideas, and obviously we have to go with the Festivus idea with Al Carbone. I was thinking a wish list or a gift basket for Al on Christmas. What would be the 3 things you'd want to give the commish? So obviously 1 is easy. He wants the most SEC titles that he's ever had. So beating that record that we set the first year, that's decent. No postponements for any of our SEC championships, which are really, as we've said time and time again, the hallmark of our league and a great advertisement for our league. And the 3rd one, he will not have to overturn any jury of appeals decisions in indoor track and field. Yeah. That's the 3 things I hope for Al on Christmas. I hope you get them.
Thank you.
I hope Santa treats you right. So.
Thank you. So, all right. So, all right. So, as we kind of wrap up, right? One thing that we're really looking forward to over the next month, right? One thing could be coffee from
Common Grounds.
Common Ground in Branford.
Good recommendation.
Right?
I got
so let's just
good biscotti too. I'm not a biscotti guy, but it was tonight. So
yeah.
So a lot of basketball. My wife and I, a lot of dinner and basketball this time of year. It's a slow business time of year and a lot of dinner and basketball. I'm also making a trip to Maui in January.
Oh, nice. Matt, coaching.
Yeah, so I want to center mine around the winter is tough. There is a lot of indoor athletics going on. There also for indoor track, kids are outside. I always like to think the indoor season is the longest, but I want to see that hard work rewarded. I think there are a lot of kids in our league that are headed towards like amazing finishes to their career, and I want to see them fulfilled, whether and avoiding sickness, avoiding injury, and getting what they deserve for putting a lot of the hard work in. And that goes from what's going on at Xavier with wrestling, like we've already talked about, to the sports we haven't talked about, and the teams we haven't talked about.
We talked about a lot of.
No, but there's just so much going out. I want to see the hard work rewarded as a coach.
Are you outside every day?
We are
the days they were complaining about football last week.
We've been outside every single day. Yeah. So like to me, that's like, again, I know we're not the only team, but for those kids that have made the decision not to quit the first week of indoor track when it's been one of the coldest years, I want to see those kids chase some PRs.
I believe there was an indoor track meet today at Branford.
Branford did it, right?
Yeah, Branford versus North Branford had an outdoor scrimmage / meet against each other today. Yeah. Where did they invite more teams?
I think
when I was doing their team photo, they were wishing for good weather. I think it was today. Was it today or tomorrow? Yeah. It's one of these days.
Interesting. Well, I again appreciate the 3 gifts, but I do want to shout out to Bree Madera and Audra Everone, who have kind of been our SEC interns.
They did a good job
doing stuff on TikTok and Instagram. We went to the Captain's Council, posting some stuff. So again, I think one of the things that I'm most looking for is the interactions, the great job by a lot of the schools with their social media accounts, tagging me and interacting. I think that's great. Tells a story, and I think that's one thing that we keep on saying is as much as I love our athletic directors, they're busy and the students and the teams have the opportunity to tell their stories. So I'm really looking forward to our teams doing this as we get into January before you know it, and then next thing you know we're in those sectional meets for track and championship season in February. It goes by fast. The next thing you know it's March and boom, and it's
the postseason for track starts in almost 5 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Is that that's the first one? So it's going to come quick.
Yeah. So all good. So what do we need to do better? Anything?
I'm sure we're going to do something better.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're going to triple our audience, and they're going to let us know.
Yeah, we're going to triple. So our goal is to triple the audience.
Doug, did I move the mic?
Yeah.
Did I move the mic today?
What we really need is someone to answer our trivia question.
Yeah, answer the trivia question. We got some great gear. I got shirts. I'll put them on there. Give us some comments. Appreciate it. We'll be posting the social media through the holiday season. There you go. Follow us on social media. Appreciate it so much to everybody. But again, I think this is it. Wraps up episode 4. So then we have to figure out some episode 5. So the number is a 5. Quintets, right? Quintet. So.
And we thank you for listening. Like we joke around. We're trying to figure this out. We're not pros, but we really, really enjoy it. And for those the lucky few that have tuned in the last couple months, it means a lot to us. And we hope to figure out new ways to get more than the couple. Yeah.
All good. So, everyone, thank you. That wraps up episode 4. Thanks to Doug Sisson, who's our producer, does an awesome job getting us situated and organized and gives us the little rules that we have to follow so that we're not moving around and affecting everyone. Have an enjoyable holiday season and a new year. And just remember to keep chasing, and we'll see you in January. Thanks, everybody.